All right. Well, we are live. Welcome back to Sweet Stories, the podcast where we delve into the insights and experiences of the movers and the shakers in the business world. I'm your host, Louis Balla, and today we have a guest who is no stranger, just so happens to be my brother. He also works at arguably the best NetSuite solution providing firm out there, Nuage. And before Nuage, he's worked with organizations like Plastiq, advancing innovative payment solutions around the globe, and Granular, where he was selling snow to Eskimos on a pioneering team applying Silicon Valley tech expertise to the agriculture industry. A sports enthusiast who was always better than me at lacrosse during his time at University of Alabama and our alma mater, St. John's. He seamlessly merges the competitive spirits of sports with the dynamic field of tech sales. I have stroked his ego long enough. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Louis Balla with Nuage, with my co-host, Gina Ostrowski.
Hi, everyone. Hey, Chris. Glad you joined us. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing well. Well, let's get started. You've had a significant journey in the tech industry. So we'd love to learn a little bit about your path and your journey to now where you are here at Nuage. So,
sure. So as Louis mentioned, I did attend the University of Alabama. I played lacrosse, but it was club, so not that big of a deal. However, when I was at Alabama and studying in business, I had the opportunity to intern with a group called Adaptive Insights, or at the time they were Adaptive Planning, and now Adaptive Insights. They're part of Workday. Had the opportunity to intern there and was actually working in a sales role, essentially selling a budgeting and forecasting system to organizations all across the US. So I had the opportunity to work with channel partners, organizations like Nuage that implement the system for organizations like NetSuite, or in this case, Adaptive Insights. That was my junior year, and going into senior year, I knew that I wanted to get back into a role like that. I saw the writing on the wall with technology and how it was only growing in the Bay Area and Silicon Valley. So right as I graduated school, packed my bags, moved to San Francisco, started a role with an organization called Initas. It's a SaaS company, project portfolio management system. So allowing businesses to manage their projects through Gantt charts, through bottlenecks. So I had a really good opportunity there just as a business development representative, hitting the phones, busting dials, the basics. And after a year and a half, I took a role with a company called Granular. Louis also mentioned farm management software, selling snow to Eskimos. Was really interested in taking the opportunity when I spoke to their head of sales there, and he mentioned to me the opportunity there was with agriculture and construction, a $3 trillion market that really hadn't been exploited at the time on the technology side. There weren't financial management systems, there weren't sales solutions built for agriculture, built for farms. So really interested in the opportunity, started as a business development representative and moved to that junior account executive role. But with organizations all across the Midwest, the Southeast, working with, your typical corn and wheat growers, and selling them a financial application that allowed them to manage field by field, get an idea of their profitability, and get real-time visibility into their cash position. Something that didn't exist at the time. Most of those growers, similar to the people I work with here at NetSuite, before jumping on board with Granular, they're using a system like QuickBooks or Xero or Peachtree that would give them a decent view into their organization, give them that high-level view, but not getting into the granularity and getting into the weeds. So worked there for about 3 years, had the opportunity to expand the organization into the Australian market. So worked out of Australia for several months and saw if there's a position for growth there. And then after that, took an opportunity with a group called Plastiq, credit card processing organization that essentially allows businesses to use corporate or consumer credit cards to make payments they traditionally could not make with Plastiq. So things like car loans or school loans or paying a title, making those larger transactions that traditionally you have to do with cash. So really allowing businesses and consumers to expand their cash utilizing these credit cards. So worked there for a few years and was approached by an opportunity working with Nuage and selling NetSuite. I think, anyone in San Francisco has an idea of what NetSuite or Oracle are. They know how, it's the 1,000-pound gorilla or 10,000-pound gorilla. So I was really excited about the opportunity. Makes, for sales folks like myself, it makes your job a lot easier when you're selling the cream of the crop, the Cadillac of solutions. So I was really excited about the opportunity to join, and coming from my experience with Granular and Plastiq and having a decent understanding, I'd say, of the financial space, was really excited to join, and that's where I'm at today.
It's a great story. And we enjoy working with you, Chris, for sure.
Thank you. Likewise.
Well, that's good. I mean, as a family office, we oftentimes have to bite our tongues when we're all thinking we're right. But I guess in the vein of transforming folks, you noted kind of, and I did too. That jump from somebody who is very tech adverse to somebody who is really kind of open, or maybe the next generation is open to transforming their organizations. Oftentimes you're working with companies who are on QuickBooks or Xero. What are you doing today? What organizations, what verticals are you focused on? And what is that messaging to those folks as to why they should go from QuickBooks to NetSuite?
Sure. So I will say, I think what NetSuite's done a really good job of, at least in the beginning when they started, was getting into the software space, getting into nonprofits, starting with kind of the basics. QuickBooks on steroids, a solution that can manage their AR, their AP, their chart of accounts in a cloud-based version. Where we've seen a lot of growth, and my team has seen a lot of growth and expansion, is in food and beverage, manufacturing, and distribution. I think traditionally the NetSuite application wasn't built for that space. It's really evolved these last 8 or so years as it's grown into the operation side. So things like advanced manufacturing, warehouse management, supply chain, allowing businesses to do things like demand planning or supply planning at a pretty granular level is something they couldn't do 10 years ago. So seeing a lot of opportunity in that space. And I think, similar to farmers, it's that fourth generation is coming in for a lot of these manufacturers or these distributors. And, these daughters, these sons are taking over these companies, and they grew up in the same environment that I've grown up in, which is digital transformation. They understand the value of having a system where they can get real-time visibility into a specific line item if they want to, through their phone, anywhere, while they're on their trip in Hawaii with the family. So just getting visibility in your organization that otherwise you wouldn't be able to do with some of these disparate and antiquated systems that still exist.
Sure. We talk about that a lot, just how NetSuite can just help build you to be more customizable to your specific business.
Sure.
And with that said, I know you've seen technology and business evolve, as we've been talking about. Are there any other ways that it's impacted your business strategy, just maybe in your specific role?
Do you mind asking that question again?
Sure. You've seen the role in technology and in business evolve over your career, correct?
Sure.
You've been giving us some great examples, and just wanted to know if there's any more specific impact it's had on say your business strategy as you're creating your sales team and your in-house team, things like that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think we definitely drink the Kool-Aid here at Nuage. We pride ourselves on being pretty tech savvy and staying ahead of the curve with new technology and ways to make our lives easier. So, for example, in our sales team, we use systems like HubSpot. We use Outreach. We use an add-on application to Outreach called Orem, which allows us to do power dialing or parallel dialing, where you're maybe calling 3 prospects at once, and when the first person picks up, it hangs up the rest, and you have a conversation with that prospect. So allowing for more talk time and not keeping our sales reps just waiting on the phone. So I think we've done a really good job at utilizing technology to make our lives a lot easier and move away from the manual work. I think when I started here 2.5 years ago, we were victim to being a little tech adverse. I think we were using spreadsheets like most of our customers to track all of our prospects, to track our customers. We were using pen and paper. We were using NetSuite. We were using all these different systems and not having one central source of truth. So now having an application like HubSpot that integrates and ties in with Outreach, it ties in with Orem. It allows our sales team to get visibility into what's going on, what we're working on, so on and so forth.
That's great insight.
Yeah, and I would agree. And I think that centralized or unified approach is, again, something we certainly tout to our customer base. So certainly vital that we're practicing what we preach. Chris, what maybe kind of advice or maybe kind of one highlight to the advice you're giving to organizations or owners when they're considering digital transformation like NetSuite? What are you telling them that is getting them comfortable in making the decision to move forward?
Sure. I think the big thing is looking at an application like QuickBooks that's just managing financials, or your accounting side, is having a solution that's managing all these different process areas for the business. It's not just your financials. Being able to find a solution that gives you real-time visibility into your operations, your sales team, your HR department within one suite.
That I think is nail on the head. And as we kind of wrap up today's conversation, Gina, I guess anything else you'd like to ask before we take this home?
Yeah, well, just share maybe a book, a mentor, something, or someone that's influenced you over the years, Chris. That would be interesting.
Please.
Sure. Well, I've got a shout out and I've got a book.
Okay.
Gary Pokorn. He was a mentor of mine and still is. We've worked with him in the past with NetSuite. Gary was an outstanding sales rep working with ADP, working with Oracle, working with NetSuite. Just had a different way of viewing the relationship with a prospect and with the sales rep, and making this a guiding process. More of a hand-holding exercise, I'd say, and just giving me insight into different ways to approach sales. And then the other one would be Getting Naked. I forget the author, but great book that basically breaks down, our practice rather than, getting into what we're selling. It's starting at where their business is at, getting an understanding where they are. And I think from Gary and coming from some other folks, it's meeting the prospect where they're at. So the most important part in this discovery phase is discovering, learning about the business before you jam a software down their throat. Because at the end of the day, the last thing you want to do is try and sell a product to a solution, or product or solution to an organization that really doesn't need it. Ultimately, it's going to end up wasting your time. It's going to waste their time. So I think identifying if there's a value fit there. And Getting Naked is a great novel that dives into just breaking down the business before going through the PowerPoint, going through your slide deck, and going through your presentation. It's really understanding the ins and outs before pitching the product.
Well, thank you. We'll certainly include that in the links below. For our listeners, if you're looking to navigate your own digital transformation journey, remember that you don't have to do it alone. At Nuage, we specialize in helping businesses like yours leverage the power of NetSuite to streamline operations, make data-driven decisions, and drive growth. Whether you're just starting to consider cloud solutions or need expert guidance to optimize your current systems, our team and Chris at Nuage are here to help. Thank you for tuning in. I want to thank you, Chris, for joining us on Suite Stories, providing your insight, expanding a little bit more on our selling motion and some of the things we're taking advantage of. So I want to give you the last word as we kind of wrap this conversation up, our interview today with you. Anything you'd like to share with the audience, anything you're working on, anything that you'd like to highlight as we wrap this one up?
Yeah, I mean, I think if I think you mentioned it, but if your organization is in need for a system, you're outgrowing some of the pains with QuickBooks, we'd love to have a conversation. We'd love to help, automate some of those manual processes or unify data between those different departments and give your organization visibility in things like your cash position. It's simple, but makes a big difference.
All right. Well, Gina and Louie signing out. Thank you to our listeners. Have a great day.